crushing win over New Zealand. But there's one more highly anticipated game coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, they bring in the flair, they bring in the perfection, and they bring in the style. Can we have a big round of applause and welcome Team Brazil?
4 players they've brought over here, and as you can see, it's a different kind of build. They hit differently in Brazil. It's not the Southeast Asians or indeed the South Asians, the slim, tall, wiry ones. These ones are brought up playing soccer on the beaches, and they've converted those skills by the likes of capoeira into Sepaktakraw. 4 players out there. We have Elias Silva, Guilherme Peroni, Diogo Figueiredo and Gustavo Leite. Diogo Figueiredo is the substitute.
They are here to roar, and they are here to stamp their mark. From the land of lions, can we have Team Singapore?
Singapore, that's quite a jersey they're wearing. Usually it's red with a bit of white trim, but there we go. They've got, is that Minecraft? Is it Space Invaders? Either way, red with a bit of green in there. 5 of them, they've got the full complement out there. Akmal Masharaf and Yuri Adli Fatullah are going to be the ones on the bench, and they will be starting with Danish Irfan, Khairil Shami Shamsuddin and Zairirman Zaharuddin.
Well, interesting jersey, I must add. It's neither Minecraft nor the other game that you mentioned. A bit like Tetris, actually. The traditional form.
That's not Tetris. Far too much going on for it to be Tetris.
Maybe 4 different games going on at the same time in different corners.
It's a strange Minecraft, or it's Space Invaders, and I'm sticking to it. I'm the one with the experience of Sepaktakraw. I know Minecraft and Tetris.
Fair, I'm going to concede there. But just talking about Brazil, I watched them during the men's quadrant event, and we covered one of their games. It was really interesting to see just their body language and the way they use their head and body. It just looked like they've been brought up on a lot of soccer or beach football or whatever you call it. Soccer or football is the same thing, of course. But just the style and the way they play the game, a lot of footballing influence, you know, it was so evident.
There's a fair bit of height there. We're in Group C here. Brazil and Singapore, Sri Lanka being the other team in this particular group. Singapore will be looking to top it, no doubt.
Singapore as well. We saw some of these players during the men's quadrant event. Khairil Shami was particularly good in one of the matches that I watched. Mohammad Danish will be the Tekong, and feeding him would be Zahir Rahman. That's how you hit, and that's how you score a goal just by the goalpost.
Unfortunately, it doesn't get you a point in Sepaktakraw. Needed to go up and over a little bit more. You'll see a lot of teams who are less born and bred in terms of takraw. That's the way they serve as well. They won't get the foot, the complete extension of the kicking leg. So Danish Irfan here, you see perfectly, that goes way above his head. It stretches. He's not the tallest of players, but that one's going to go 2 meters in the air. Almost. Whereas we're going to see sideways on here for Guilherme Perón. And it's a safety first.
What's it like in Singapore? Yes, they are all surrounded by the countries that have really embraced Sepaktakraw, and Singapore to the south of Malaysia. What kind of a structure they have? It's the home of ISTAF as well.
That's right, it's where the federation is based, and there's been a lot of investment in Sepaktakraw, particularly this since the turn of the millennium, and much along the lines of Japan. There's a good university system there, and it's played very widely. It's been promoted by the government, it's been promoted via the military, which is obviously a big aspect of Singapore as well. And it's the kind of sport they've decided to focus on. Obviously, they're never going to be a powerhouse at, I don't know, football or even cricket, for example, even though they play a fair bit of those two sports, and they do have those sports being played at various levels. But this is a sport that is more favoured to their morphology, their local culture as well, being part of Southeast Asia, the little red dot at the bottom of Malaysia. And so it's something that the government and the sporting authorities have decided to invest in.
Meanwhile, the Brazilian coach has just called for a timeout. Really animated there, the Brazilian coach, almost like a football manager. A bit of Scolari over there, maybe?
Doesn't look happy, does he, Hilario Nobrega?
A lot of hand waving, gesturing. Wasn't happy at all with his team's effort.
Ain't nothing. So he's probably telling them, look, we've come all this way. We've gone halfway across the world. We've gone south to north. We've gone west to east. We've flown for 24 hours. And this is us on the big stage. So step up. Don't leave with a whimper. Leave with a bang. Get up there. Get to the net. Try and get blocks in. Get out there. Get a point. Earn a point.
Yes, and the difference in skill level is quite evident, not just looking at the scoreboard. So Brazil have got a long way to come, but this tournament is more about the learning than anything. You said, and we've used this phrase numerous times, that when your development, while that is true for some of the other teams as well, but you would expect someone like a Japan or Nepal to compete a lot more. From Brazil, it's purely about learning at this stage.
It's going to be tough for them as well, but before, at previous World Cups, there have been two divisions. There's been a Premier and then a Division 1. And this time around there isn't. However, not every country was allowed to enter every event, other than the hosts. India. They've been allowed to enter every category, but as is often the case at things like the Asian Games and the SEA Games, when there are multiple categories, you have to choose 2 out of the 3, 3 out of the 4. And so here in the Regu, it's a wide open competition. There is no Thailand, for example, no Malaysia, no Indonesia, so it's wide open, and we've got a bit of a mixture of Premier and Division 1 as we have another look at Hilario Nobrega. He's not happy. 14 set points for Singapore, and Hilario Nobrega not happy with any of them.
Well, now 13 set points.
I think Danish gave them that one. I'm going to call that a mercy point. This ball hasn't landed yet. I think it's gone all the way out of the complex, down the road. That ball was heading to Kolkata, but we're heading to a second set.
Yes, Singapore quite easily taking that first set, 15-1. तो पहला सेट यहाँ सिंगापुर ने जीता है ब्राजील के सामने 15-1 के मार्जिन से. As expected, a dominant performance by Singapore, taking the first set 1-0, 15-1, and you could just see the gulf between the two sides. In fact, it's probably the distance between, the geographical distance between Singapore and Brazil.
This, I think, is going to illustrate the difference. On the one side, you've got an attempted header by Guillermo Perón, and then on the other side of the net, Zahirman Zahrudin with clever little spike, tap spike over the net. Danish Irfan as well is a very good tekong. And if that's Tetris, then, I mean, how could you play Tetris with that? I mean, it's far too complicated. That's some sort of mega master Tetris. That'd be beyond me.
A couple of weeks ago, I saw one of my cousins play a game like that on his phone. So they've come with different versions, and even I couldn't make sense of it.
Change of tekong. Gustavo Leite was taking on the tekong duties there.
And Figueiredo Diogo is now on the park.
Now that is nonchalant. That is going to be demoralizing as far as Brazil are concerned. Zahirman just standing in the net, letting it land on the back of his head. It's not going to go down well with Hilario Nobrega, I can tell you that. He's still shouting the odds. Pretty much a training run for Singapore.
But that's what, how much can you even expect from the Brazilian players when you're up against a team that has got so much more experience? Just look at the coach, obviously getting frustrated, wants a better effort, but there is a clear difference between the two teams. I think it's unfair to expect a bit more from Brazil.
Tell you what, I'll let you go down there and say, Hilario, I think it's unfair that I think you're expecting too much of your team, and see whether he chews your ear off.
Well, he's in my hotel. I did say hello to him around breakfast yesterday.
You're a brave man. Good morning. What's so good about it? Alternating Tekongs, Brazil, so they've gone back to Guilherme Perón. They're picking up the odd point as well. I think that's more Singapore trying to find the range here, there and everywhere.
I don't think they have the skill to spike or roll spike, because in the couple of opportunities that we've seen that there has been a setup, there's only been a header on show.
It's a question of skills, learned skills, as we see Zahirman keeping that one in, I think deliberately, just to keep the point going and have a bit more practice saving, setting, spiking. There's habit, there's a bit of a fear factor, there's build as well. It's easier said than done, and it takes years of practice to try to serve like a proper tekong, for example, and then to roll spike at the net. And you need to be born, I mean, if you have the body of Zahirman, then it's far easier to stretch your leg up there. He's got hamstrings made of elastic, as he illustrates there, and he's got an unerring sense of accuracy.
Yes, and as we know that Brazil is known for football, there's a lot of beach soccer being played there. Oh, that's very well done by Gustavo on the net. Come on, you can smile now a little bit at least.
He's saying,
no, it's gone to Singapore.
I think he might have touched the net, unfortunately. It was absolutely the right thing to do and almost the right execution. What did Zahirman do there? Did he try to change from roll spike to sunback and do a left-footed sunback in midair? I think he might have done. I think it worked.
And this experience will help Brazil. If they get the opportunity to interact with some of the other teams, that will also be a very good opportunity to exchange notes. Like, for example, I was telling you, yesterday I saw the Iranian coach take one of their women's players and they were talking to the Thai legend and they were asking him questions. I didn't eavesdrop, I was just looking at it from a distance, but that's the language that everyone speaks here, Sepaktakraw.
Well, we can all eavesdrop. If Swebsak Pansweb is going to pass on his pearls of wisdom, then I'm sure everyone should be allowed to listen in and glean what they can. That was more like it. That was what they were trying to do earlier, and Gustavo late gets that one over.
This is also a bit like we saw from the Poland women's team, who are incidentally playing a match on the other court. They too are really dominant in terms of their style. They get the headers out, use the foot, but we didn't see any of the sunback spikes or anything from them.
Point.
2 points remaining for Singapore.
You can see what Zahirman is trying to do there. The ball was going to go out of play, and it's just keep it alive and get some practice in and see if I can get a desperation save. And I think he would have done had there not been the new innovation of the serving clock that is there. You've got 15 seconds at the end of a point, so the serving clock, once the referee has put the score on the score pad, you've got 15 seconds to be getting into your serving motion. And 15 seconds may be all that Brazil have got left in this match, because Singapore have 8 match points.
Easily done. A walk in the park for Singapore, as they have beaten Brazil 15-1, 15-6. For Brazil, another humbling game as Singapore take it 2-0. As we move forward at the ISTAF Sepaktakraw World Cup 2025, we will have Japan taking on Nepal, and that also is a men's Regu event. Singapore, it was an easy walk in the park for them against Brazil. In straight sets, 15-1, 15-5. Absolutely no opportunity handed to Brazil. And we could see the Brazilian coach frustrated with his performance, his team's performance rather, but you've got to really them credit for being here at the ISTAF Sepaktakraw World Cup. Just try and win their development because such matches will only help their learning. But we move ahead and it's going to be Japan taking on Nepal in the men's Regu event.
Every move in the Regu battle has been a skill to their perfection and agility. And that's how Singapore clinched one-sided victory over Brazil. And now we have one more anticipated game coming up all your way. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the samurais from the land of rising sun, Team Japan.
The samurais from the land of the rising sun. How about that? Japan, they'll be fancying their chances here. Got a bit of a flex to them as they come out. Japan find themselves in Group A. Japan, Nepal and France. So I'm not sure whether France are going to have enough players. So it could well be that Japan and Nepal are already through, and we're looking at this match to see who finishes first. Mito, Ichikawa and Kobayashi are their starters. Kato and Sasamoto the substitutes.
Hailing from the roof of the world, they are